Ariel had always been a seeker of the extraordinary. Her insatiable curiosity led her to the most remote and mysterious places on Earth. This time, her journey brought her to an ancient, abandoned village in the heart of the Carpathian Mountains, a place shrouded in legends and forgotten by time. The village of Viridni was said to be cursed. Centuries ago, its inhabitants vanished overnight, leaving behind empty houses and a chilling silence. Some whispered of vengeful spirits, others of dark rituals gone wrong. Ariel was determined to uncover the truth. As she approached the village, a thick fog rolled in, cloaking the crumbling buildings in an eerie veil. The air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped her. Undeterred, Ariel set up camp in the old town square, where a once grand fountain now stood dry and cracked. That night, as she lay in her tent, strange whispers drifted through the air. Ariel listened intently, her heart pounding. The voices were indistinct, like the murmurs of a distant crowd. She recorded the sounds on her equipment, hoping to analyze them later. The next morning, she began her exploration. The village was a haunting sight. Roofs caved in, doors hanging off hinges, windows shattered. Each house she entered told a story of sudden abandonment, dishes still on tables, clothes laid out as if ready to be worn. In the center of the village stood a large, decrepit mansion. Its grandeur suggested it once belonged to someone of great importance. The front door creaked open with a gentle push, and Ariel stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and a musty scent filled her nostrils. As she ventured deeper, she found a grand staircase leading to the upper floors. On the second floor, she discovered a library filled with ancient books. One tome caught her eye, a leather-bound journal with intricate silver engravings. The name Vladislav was etched on the cover. As she leafed through its pages, she realized it was a diary, detailing the life of the village's last leader, Vladislav Drakul. The entries were cryptic and disturbing. Vladislav wrote about a mysterious darkness that had begun to plague the village, causing madness and fear. Desperate to save his people, he turned to forbidden rituals, invoking ancient spirits for aid. The last entry was incomplete, abruptly ending with the words, "The shadows are here." As the sun set, Ariel felt an increasing sense of unease. She decided to return to her tent, but found herself inexplicably drawn to the mansion's cellar. With a flashlight in hand, she descended the narrow, winding staircase. The cellar was vast, filled with old barrels and crates. In the far corner, she noticed a peculiar symbol carved into the stone floor, a pentagram surrounded by strange runes. Suddenly, the whispers returned, louder and more insistent. The flashlight flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness. Panic surged through her, but she fought to remain calm. Using her phone's light, she saw the shadows around her begin to move, swirling and coalescing into dark, humanoid forms. Ariel stumbled back, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The shadows seemed to whisper her name, their voices a cacophony of despair and anger. She remembered Vladislav's journal and the forbidden rituals. These were no ordinary shadows. They were the spirits he had summoned, now bound to this place by his dark magic. Determined to escape, Ariel sprinted up the stairs and out of the mansion. She headed for the village square, the shadows in relentless pursuit. As she reached her tent, she grabbed her camera and began filming. If she didn't make it out, at least there would be evidence of what she had discovered. The shadows surrounded her, their whispers deafening. Just as they were about to engulf her, a brilliant light pierced the fog. Ariel turned to see an old man, his face lined with age and wisdom, holding a lantern that emitted an otherworldly glow. "Stay back, cursed spirits," he commanded. The shadows recoiled, hissing in fury. The old man approached Ariel, extending his hand. "Come with me if you wish to live." With no other choice, Ariel took his hand, and they hurried away from the village. The shadows followed, but the light from the lantern seemed to keep them at bay. They reached a small clearing in the forest where the man had a modest cabin. Inside, the man introduced himself as Ivan, a descendant of the villagers who had fled Viridni. He explained that his ancestors had left when the darkness first descended, but he had returned to find a way to lift the curse. "They are bound to the village by dark magic," Ivan said. "Only the one who summoned them can release them, and Vladislav is long dead." Ariel showed Ivan the journal, and together they pored over its pages, seeking a way to break the curse. They discovered a ritual that required the power of the original summoner's bloodline, combined with a pure soul's willingness to sacrifice. "I am the last of Vladislav's bloodline," Ivan revealed. "But we need someone with a pure heart to complete the ritual." Ariel knew what he was asking. It was a dangerous and selfless act, but she couldn't let the shadows continue to torment the village. She agreed to help. The next night, under a full moon, they returned to the mansion's cellar. Ivan drew the pentagram anew, and Ariel stood in its center. As Ivan chanted the ancient incantation, the shadows materialized, their whispers a frenzied roar. Ariel felt a searing pain as the shadows converged on her. She closed her eyes, focusing on her resolve. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the pentagram, enveloping her in the shadows. The spirits wailed as they were drawn into the light, their forms dissolving into nothingness. When the light faded, Ariel collapsed, exhausted but alive. The shadows were gone, the curse lifted. Ivan helped her to her feet, gratitude and sorrow in his eyes. "You have freed them," he said. "The village can finally rest in peace." Ariel and Ivan left Veridny, the fog lifting as they walked away. She knew her experience would be a story to share with the world, but it was also a reminder of the dangers of tampering with the unknown. Back home, Ariel published her findings, including the haunting footage and Vladislav's journal. Her story captivated audiences, but she never forgot the feeling of the shadows' whispers. They had left a mark on her soul, a constant reminder of the thin veil between our world and the mysteries that lie beyond. Ariel continued her travels, but she found herself drawn to the places where the veil was thinnest, where the ordinary world brushed against the extraordinary. Her experiences in Veridny had changed her, deepened her understanding of the unseen forces that shaped human history and consciousness. Months later, Ariel received a letter from Ivan. He had found a new home, far from the haunted village, but the memories of his ancestors' plight still haunted him. He thanked her once again for her bravery and enclosed a small vial of soil from the village. It was a gesture of trust, a symbol of their shared ordeal. Ariel placed the vial on a shelf among her other mementos. She often found herself gazing at it, remembering the shadows and the courage it had taken to face them. She realized that her encounter with the supernatural had not only been a test of her courage, but also a journey of self-discovery. She had faced her deepest fears and emerged stronger. Determined to use her experiences for the greater good, Ariel began working on a book. It was not just a recounting of her adventures, but also a guide for others who might find themselves drawn to the mysterious and the unexplained. She included detailed accounts of her encounters, practical advice for dealing with the supernatural, and reflections on the deeper meaning of her experiences. Her book, Whispering Shadows: A Journey into the Unknown, became a bestseller. It resonated with readers who had always felt a pull toward the mystical, those who had experienced the unexplainable, and those simply seeking a good scare. Ariel's thoughtful and eloquent prose captivated a wide audience, turning her into a renowned author and paranormal investigator. Despite her newfound fame, Ariel remained humble. She knew that the true value of her work lay not in the accolades, but in the lives she touched and the minds she opened. She received countless letters from readers sharing their own experiences and seeking advice. Ariel took the time to respond to each one, offering guidance and support. One evening, as Ariel was organizing her notes for her next book, she received a call. The voice on the other end was frantic, a woman claiming that her small town in Maine was experiencing strange occurrences, whispers in the night, shadows that moved on their own, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The woman had read Ariel's book and hoped she could help. Without hesitation, Ariel packed her bags and set off for Maine. The town of Harrow Hill was picturesque, nestled between dense forests and rolling hills. But beneath its serene surface, a darkness lurked. The townspeople were terrified and local authorities were baffled. Ariel met with the town's mayor, a stoic man named Samuel, who briefed her on the situation. The disturbances had started a few months ago, coinciding with the discovery of an ancient burial site on the outskirts of town. Since then, the whispers and shadows had become more frequent and aggressive. Ariel's first stop was the burial site. As she approached, a chill ran down her spine. The air felt heavy, charged with a malevolent energy. She could see the disturbed earth, and the remains of what appeared to be a long-forgotten grave. Kneeling, she examined the area closely and found fragments of pottery and bones, evidence of a once sacred site. Returning to town, Ariel gathered a group of volunteers willing to assist in her investigation. Among them was a young historian named Evelyn, who had extensive knowledge of the region's history and folklore. Together, they pieced together the story of Harrow Hill's dark past. Centuries ago, the town had been a thriving settlement of an indigenous tribe known for their spiritual practices. When European settlers arrived, conflicts arose, leading to a tragic massacre. The burial site was a sacred ground where the tribe's shamans had performed rituals to protect their people. The disturbance of this site had awakened the spirits, who were now seeking justice and peace. Armed with this knowledge, Ariel and Evelyn devised a plan to perform a cleansing ritual to appease the spirits. They gathered the necessary materials, herbs, candles, and sacred symbols, and enlisted the help of the townspeople. On the night of the full moon, they assembled at the burial site. The air was thick with tension, but Ariel felt a sense of purpose and resolve. She led the group in a series of chants, invoking the spirits and asking for their forgiveness. The wind howled, and the shadows danced around them, but Ariel stood firm, her voice steady and clear. As the ritual reached its climax, a sudden stillness fell over the site. The whispers ceased, and the shadows dissipated. A warm, gentle light enveloped the group, and a sense of peace washed over them. The spirits had heard their plea and were finally at rest. Harrow Hill returned to its quiet, peaceful state, and the townspeople expressed their gratitude to Ariel. She had not only saved their town, but also reminded them of the importance of respecting the past and honoring those who came before. Ariel's journey had come full circle. From the cursed village of Veridne to the haunted town of Harrow Hill, she had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Her experiences had taught her that courage, compassion, and understanding were the keys to overcoming even the most terrifying challenges. As she prepared to leave Harrow Hill, Ariel received a letter from Evelyn, who had decided to continue her work in uncovering and preserving the region's history. Evelyn thanked her for the inspiration and guidance, promising to carry on the legacy of protecting and honoring the past. Ariel smiled, knowing that her journey was far from over. The world was full of mysteries waiting to be discovered, and she was ready to face whatever came next. With a renewed sense of purpose and a heart full of gratitude, she set off on her next adventure. The whispers of the shadows, a distant memory, but a constant reminder of the extraordinary world that lay just beyond the veil of the ordinary.